If you are extremely sensitive to topics on animal cruelty, I just want to let you know now, this is not going to be a happy and positive type of video. I recently found something out with the shelter where I rescued Alfred from, who was a dog that was about to be euthanized at a kill shelter, and I found out a little bit more about that shelter, and it just, I wasn't going to discuss it, but it got so much and so bad to the point where I have to say something. I have to reach out and talk about it because it's very disturbing and it's very disgusting, the way that they not only treat their animals but how they euthanize their animals. My friends and I worked very closely together in Central Florida to pick up Alfred, who was supposedly a stray. When they found him, he was found injured on the side of the road. He's a very fearful and scared dog, and I'm gonna have a whole thing with Alfred's story and like talk to you guys more about Alfred and everything in another future video. But long story short, he was going to be euthanized by 6 p.m. I saw his, face on Facebook with a bunch of organizations that work with this shelter to take them to at least no-kill shelters or get fosters in, adoptions in, and it was like 3 shelters that I saw like posted about it, and he had the cutest face, so I ended up driving. It was a very, very far drive from where I live, and my friends and I ended up driving to Central Florida and taking him, and I signed the adoption papers at 4 o'clock, so 2 hours before like his deadline. And he is an overall sweet dog. My friend Katie right now has actually taken him in for a while, and we are currently in the process of taking care of him, socializing him, because he is very fearful, and based on some of the things I've heard in his backstory, I don't blame him for being scared. He didn't really get a fighting chance, only in the shelter a month, and he was very sick and injured, and by the time he was fully healed, they were like, oh, time's up, he's gonna die. So definitely thank you so much, to Katie and like the other friends, Marissa and like Brooke and all of the people that have helped work with me to help get this dog and save this dog's life, because he is happy and he is doing better than ever right now. I have recently discovered a technique called a heart stick euthanasia system. It is illegal in most states. However, it is still legal in Florida. And when I first discovered this, a few hours, I did not know what it really was. So I looked it up, I did some research, and basically for heartstick, it is a euthanasia system that goes directly to the animal's heart, and it slowly goes through each tissue of the heart to get to the source to make the dog die. And this process is slow, and it is very uncomfortable, painful even. They are supposed to be sedated so they do not feel this, pain, and they aren't scared. The heart is trying constantly to, it just got injected with basically poison, and it's trying constantly to work with everything it possibly can to not die and not to stop beating and not shut down. So, the heart goes into a panic mode, and these dogs don't know what's going on. It's scary, you don't understand why your body is doing it. You can't really, especially animals, you can't be like, yo, this hurts, like, I'm scared, what's going on, and it's a fearful process because it's a very slow deteriorating to the heart, and then eventually they die. And I completely disagree with it. There's a reason it's illegal in most states, because it is not humane, period. It's not a humane thing. I found out that this shelter that I rescued Alfred from does do heartstick. And when I first read about it, what it was, I was like, there's no way. I was like, I'm gonna research, I'm gonna try to find out from these organizations, like there's gotta be, I have to find some proof, because I don't want to find, read something about a shelter from like a source that's not reliable, or just because somebody happened to say it, be like, oh my god, like this shelter is horrible, don't go to them, or don't whatever, because if they love animals, I don't want to be that person to discourage that from, or make them seem like they're bad people when they're not. I did some research with 3 of these organizations that work with these dogs and found some proof and found certain things from some of the people that have worked at this shelter that is claimed. They do heartstick. Of course, they don't put it, you know, on their website, and they try to keep it a little hush-hush because a lot of people are against it, but it is definitely proven that they heartstick. I have found some rumors that sometimes they do not sedate their dogs. I don't know if that's necessarily true because you have to sedate these dogs because it is such a painful, slow, scary process. And this shelter has had so much other sketchiness before this even occurred. There has been a time a few years ago where they accidentally euthanized a dog that was being prepared for adoption. And they said, we're all human, we make mistakes. I get that. Everybody's human, everybody makes mistakes. But what sketched me out and a lot of people out was the person, you know, they said it was due to human error. They wouldn't really describe what happened, why it happened, how it happened. They wouldn't talk about it with anybody, and it was just all of a sudden random out of the blue. And if you cannot provide, you would think with those type of shelters you would want to provide a logical explanation to help people understand, hey, it was truly a mistake, like people are human, it was just a very unfortunate. They didn't do that at all. They kept it very hush-hush. They kept it very kind of sketched out and secretive. So automatically I was like, there's something not right. There has been some horror stories at this shelter specifically that some of the people that have euthanized these animals are not licensed veterinarians, which is not good at all. As a licensed veterinarian, they know how to euthanize these animals, and if they do, for some reason, heartstick, which is completely unnecessary to begin with, they know where to go in the heart. And there has been times where they have heartsticked and they have to continuously poke around the heart because they didn't get it in correctly the first time. And when that happens, a lot of the times they end up poking and puncturing the lung, which before they can even heartstick and euthanize these dogs, they're basically suffocating because their lung is freaking punctured, you know, and they're in fear and they end up dying because of that instead of the actual euthanasia process. And that is just, I can't imagine. It's truly disgusting at the fact that these people do this. I don't know if some of these workers or these volunteers at the shelter know what's going on behind closed doors. I don't even think I know all of what's going on behind these closed doors. When I went, in my own personal experience at this shelter, I disliked it immediately. Some of the people that were at the front desk and that were trying to like organize it, it was completely unorganized. The lack of leadership was impeccable, which is really important to have that if you want to get animals adopted. And, you know, they didn't really lead us where to go, what to do. They were like, yeah, sign in, and like that was it. And that already was like, oh God, this place is a mess. The volunteers there, I do say, were the ones that you could tell truly cared about the animals. They were working very hard. They were talking with us and sharing some of their experiences at the shelter, and they were putting their heart in work. The only thing that I liked about this shelter was they did not have tiny kennels that the dogs were kept in. They had a larger amount of space. They had like an outdoor and indoor area, which was very nice. But I strongly believe like the only reason that these animals were in clean cages with water was because I saw all of these volunteers busting their ass to clean everything, to clean out the feces, to walk these dogs whenever they got a chance, which these dogs barely get walked anyways. And that was without these volunteers, I think this place would be completely unsanitary. It would be completely disgusting. A lot of these dogs were heartworm positive, which I understand that some of these dogs come in already neglected, you know, so I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh yeah, like they didn't take care of all their dogs, they weren't, because most of them do, you know, they come in not treated right to begin with. That's why they're in, or they come in with strays, so, and they come in heartworm positive and all that. But it was very weird to me that literally almost every single dog, except for like 3 of these dogs, were all heartworm positive. And I was like, that's weird, you know, that's not right. and some of them weren't even undergoing treatment yet. Usually with heartworm positive, you're supposed to treat them right away. I don't know if there was a specific justification or reason for it, but I left it alone, and we went to go down to find Alfred, and he was like one of the last ones that like was down there. So I was able to look at all of these dogs. Most of these dogs were getting adopted. So that is one thing, is they are doing really well. 2 years ago, they had a kill rate of 40%, which is horrible. And the only reason that it has gone down to 20% now is because there are so many other organizations in Central Florida working with these people to get these animals, like, you know, not get these animals euthanized, because they don't want these dogs to die. And these dogs do not have a fair chance. Let me tell you, they have a month. They're usually 99% of the time, even if they're in health reasons or injuries, whatever, they do not take that time away and let these dogs heal to give these people a chance to see that they are healthy, happy dogs. And no one wants to adopt a dog with kennel cough. You know, nobody wants to adopt a dog that has patches off their skin and they don't look good. A lot of people look, you know, they cannot overlook that stuff, and they want to get the cute puppy. You know, they want to get the animal that's obedient, which is fine if that's what you want, but it's just, it's very unfair for these dogs. They are not given a fighting chance to even show these people that they are normal dogs. We find Alfred, and I was very nervous because they said that Alfred was a very, you know, the girl on the phone, you know, before I talked to her, made it seem like Alfred was just this, like, monster. Like, he was an animal. He was not. I almost didn't pick him up because Katie, like, we have other dogs. You know, Katie has other dogs, and he was gonna, you know, going to Katie's place, and I was like, I cannot put her dogs at risk, and I'm not going to put her dogs at risk, because that is not fair, and that is horribly wrong to do. And if I was driving to this place like, God, I really hope that he's not extremely aggressive. You know, they said that he tried to rip a dog's face off and like all of this stuff, and I was like, oh my God, you know, I'm gonna be the person that decides if this dog lives or dies. And if he was too aggressive, I was not going to adopt him. I was not going to take him in, because I was not about to put other dogs at risk. So I was like, please, 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 like, during this interaction with this other dog at the shelter, like, please don't be aggressive. Like, please let me be able to give you a future. I found out the story behind he tried to bite a dog's face off from the volunteers that witnessed the event, and even people on the website, when I was like, I don't know, you know, I'm not sure if he's aggressive, I'm so sorry, I'm not going to be able to take him in, you know, even they were like, give this dog a chance. Like, this is not, whoever told you that is like, this is not what this dog is. He is not, he's very fearful. And I found out from the volunteers that they tried to pair him with a dog that was super hyper and tried to run up to him, while meanwhile he was in pain, and he was, you know, had all this sickness and kennel cough and frilly allergies, you know, all of it. So he was hurting already, he was scared, and the dog tried to run up to him to play with them, so he just snapped towards his face area to defend himself because he was in fear. That's not biting a dog's face off, friend. That's not an extremely aggressive, monstrous dog that cannot be in society because he's going to try to kill another animal. That's just a dog that's freaking scared. You're already making these dogs unadoptable from the start, because a lot of these people have other animals, you know? And I do admit, yeah, he was fearful, but he was slowly introduced to Luna, and now he loves Luna, which is Katie's dog. Plays with her, you know, they get along perfectly fine. They're fed separately just because he is still nervous with food. And he's fine. He's great. You know, he's a very sweet dog. So you guys are already making him seem like he's a horrible monster. And the same with these other dogs. And the volunteers are the ones defending these dogs. Like, this is not how it actually happened. This is not the right way. We were the ones who witnessed it. Half of these people didn't even witness it, and they were the ones documenting it. How are you going to document something about an animal that's going to be up for adoption and say all these horrible negative things about these dogs and making them seem like they're monstrous, and you weren't even there to witness how it went down? I don't know if he's a pit bull mix or a boxer mix. They didn't know what mix he was. I thought he was pit bull. When we looked at his face and like his facial features, he looks most definitely boxer, and he was claimed as a dark brown and white dog. And we got there to him, and he was so skinny. Right? He's been at the shelter a month. He was skin and bones. You could see his hip lining area. You could see very clearly his ribs. Like, He was very malnourished, and Boxer Pit Bull, whatever mix he was, those dogs are big dogs. They need protein, they need nutrition, they need muscle. You know, they need to have more bulk. That's just a given. And this dog was lacking. He was very thin. He was very much lacking the nutrition. You shouldn't be able to see a dog's hip bones. And, you know, for the weight that he was, that was not a healthy weight. It was very underweight. He should have been at least 10 to 15 pounds bigger, which is very huge for a dog. You know, that's a very significant difference. They gave me a cute care package and a small thing of food, which was like very nice. So I do admit I did enjoy that. But they literally told me, do not feed him any more than we feed him. Like, this is what he should look like. And straight from the get-go, I was like, no. I usually am open-minded. Usually they know what they're doing. They know what they're talking about. You should absolutely trust the people who've worked with these dogs. But I am smart enough to understand if you see a dog's ribs so ever so clearly and you see their hip bones bulging out, that is not just a skinny-natured dog that is supposed to be thin like that. He was clearly, and you'll see in the videos in the future of like his body weight and stuff, this dog was not fed correctly. He had dandruff all over his skin. He almost looked like he was spotted with white because he had that much dandruff all over him. He was very fearful. You could tell he wasn't walked a lot. He wasn't taken out a lot, so he was already kind of neglected. These dogs need socialization. They need to be able to experience, you had this dog a month, and he has never been outside these kennel doors. We took him outside the adoption area when we got him to put him in the car, and I knew it was going to be scary for him because he already was found. Like, I don't know if he was a dumping dog, and I don't know if he was just a stray and got hit by a car. There was a couple other experiences he had with like the leash and other things that made me think he was severely abused or he was a bait dog beforehand. So I understand that he's scared, but this dog went out of this shelter and dropped to the ground in fear. Literally, not being dramatic, fell to the ground in fear. So clearly they have not taken this dog for walks anywhere. All he's known is this cage. And you can't do that to a dog. You can't not socialize him with other dogs and not socialize him and like not take him for walks and get him used to an area and expect him to be adopted. Your adoption process, part of your responsibility is to make sure these dogs are socialized, to make sure these dogs are taken care of, to make sure to give them therapy. He suffered whatever story he has that we only know some of it. Alfred only knows the rest of his story. And from what I knew, it was not a good story. Whoever he had beforehand treated him like absolute shit. Okay, so whoever treated him horribly, you would think that there's common sense to realize that these dogs have trauma and you need to ease them back into it. And they had a month to do it, and you could clearly tell they did not even take him outside the kennel doors because of how scared, and he didn't know where he was. He was trying to run back into the kennel that he didn't even like the kennel. He was scared of the kennel, and he tried to run back in because that's all he knew. They said he was a dark brown dog, and Katie and her boyfriend went to bathe him, and after I went to go visit him, he was not dark brown. It was dirt and dandruff and gunk that was settled into his fur. And he's actually a golden brown dog, almost like a penny type brown. Not a dark brown like my hair, like up here dark brown, not like my eyebrows like super dark brown. Like that's what he looked like. And when I saw him after getting his bath, he didn't even look like the same dog, which concerns me. So not only did you not bathe him for a month, when he had to get neutered, because you have to get the dogs neutered when they're adopted, they require you to get them neutered or spayed. When they went to go do this procedure, clearly they didn't think about cleaning him off before his procedure, which makes me even more nervous. He can get an infection. He could get really sick from that. So y'all didn't even bathe him when he was getting a freaking surgery. Maybe you sterilized the little area, but that is not good enough. You could clearly tell when I was talking to some of them and went to go pick them up, they were rude. They did not, you could tell that some of them clearly just did not care. Like, why are you gonna work in an area that you're supposed to love animals if you don't give a shit? If you don't give a shit, don't work there. These animals need people that are compassionate and that are loving and they're willing to dedicate their time to these animals. And if you're not willing to do that, that's fine, but don't work at a place and claim that you care and love about animals when you're rude as hell to your customers. Not to mention, I understand health-wise or aggression, you know, whatever, keeping dogs in isolation. Some of these dogs were in isolation areas for the entire month that they were available for adoption, and you had to request them by the front desk, which they did not advertise these dogs were out and about. They did not post, you know, anywhere that these dogs were in isolation and cute pictures of them and everything. How is a dog supposed to get adopted when he's in isolation in a small cage the entire month you have him and nobody even knows they exist unless they go, you know, deep into your website to like check and see this dog, or they hear from somebody that works with you guys? How is these dogs, of course these dogs are going to be put down, and you wonder why these dogs aren't getting adopted. You guys are making it impossible for people to give these animals loving homes. I'm baffled. We were in like the cat area as well, like with the clinic, and all of the cats were not taken care of. The kittens were skin and bones, like you could see like their rib cage and even some of their little hip areas. And these are like clearly like very young, like 2-month-old kittens. So they weren't fed properly. Most of them, especially the black cats, you could see very clearly covered in dandruff, you know, very filthy, not bathed, clearly scared. Like they did not, you know, some of them had severe like goop and stuff in their eyes, and like some of it was actually green. I don't like the shelter. I don't like the shelter. I don't care for this shelter. You know, I'm very glad we rescued Alfred, because clearly, you know, when he was going to be put down, I was like, you know, if nobody does get him, or if I can't get him due to a severe aggression, or some of these dogs that had, you know, they weren't lucky and they had an unfortunate story and they just had crappy luck, that at least they would die humanely. And this goes back to the heart stick. When you are heart sticking an animal, especially if you're not sedating the animal, they feel that slow, painful process of their hearts deteriorating. These animals aren't even getting 60 seconds of peace and just slowly falling asleep. No, they're dying in fear. They are scared. They are terrified. And they're hurting. You know, they're uncomfortable. I don't know if there's justification for it. I've tried to look and see like why Florida claims to like keep it legal. I can't find anything as to why. All I find is petitions to make it illegal, and all of these people just outraged and disgusted, equally so, like completely like understandable as to why this is still a process. I'm not saying all of the people who work there are bad people, because I'm sure some of them go because they love animals and they're trying their best to help the situation, but I do firmly believe like some of these people, and you can tell by their actions, their lack of leadership, the fact that they, like, what are you there to, like, you're there to run a shelter and you're not taking care of the dogs. Like, what do you do all day? Like, just sit at your front desk and like watch YouTube videos and like do nothing? Like, your job is to help these animals get adopted, to socialize these animals, to help save these animals. Not to mention, I look up on their website to see what they're like, you know, let's see what they're about, let's see what they say. Do they have any, you know, justification as to why they heart stick, whatever. Of course, heart stick, cruelty, all of it not mentioned, you know. You see in some of the reviews that they, you know, proof that they heart stick and that clearly, you know, went to go see these dogs, they weren't taken care of. The homepage of their website is just nothing but words of, we love our animals, we dedicate everything we can to take care of these animals, we try so hard to get them adopted, they're, you know, sweet and loving, like, please come by, we take great, excellent care of them, they're friendly, they're, you know, beautiful, we groom them, we, you know, absolutely love our animals, and we sacrifice a lot of our time and availability just to make sure these animals are safe. And I'm just like, What? I don't even know what to say to like show you guys and like express how disgusted and ashamed I am of this place. Whatever justification they have, somebody else has, anyone has, for heart-sticking animals, I don't give a flying fat fuck what your justification is to put down animals that is inhumane, makes them scared and in pain before they die. I don't care what excuses anybody, whether it's gonna be the shelter themselves, random people in the comment, I don't care what excuses that are going to try to be made for the shelter and how they treat their animals and the fact that they heartstick these animals. There is no justification. There is no excuse in the world that is going to make it a validated thing. When I first read about it, I felt as if I was going to throw up because I was so sickened at the fact that this is supposed to be a caring, kind place to give animals a second chance, and y'all have the nerve to do this to your animals. And the thing that sucks the most is there's been proof, and I've read in and I've talked to these organizations, they even shorten these animals' time on the kill list even more, just because these shelters are trying, you know, these other rescue organizations are trying and working with them so hard to get them adopted. And they've gotten so many of them adopted because of it that they're now taking advantage of the system and shortening these dogs' lives because they can get away with it, and they know that these organizations and these shelters are going to try to save them and do what they can, and they clearly, you know, this specific place clearly just lacks any compassion whatsoever. This is not the most positive video. I want to try to keep this, you know, place as positive as possible, but I also want to spread the word about animal cruelty and spread some of these things. Yes, they're disturbing, they're uncomfortable, but some of this needs to be said. Some of this needs to be videotaped. It needs to be out there because people need to know what's going on in the world with these animals, because it is not all butterflies and rainbows. And anybody that I can or other people can, you know, inspire to help and to donate or to adopt or anything, even one life that is saved, is a big step. I'm hoping sharing this will inspire others to do something to help, even if it's just sharing, you know, these posts about these dogs and, you know, recognizing that there is a problem. Like, that is enough. I hope that this impacted you in some way to inspire you to help. And to this shelter that I saved Alfred from, for all of the dogs that have been victims, all of the animals, for all of the animals that are still there, from all of the animals that have had to go through whatever future neglect from this place that they have gone through, to the moon and back, to anywhere, for everyone around the world, and from the bottom, absolute bottom of my heart and soul, fuck you. That's all I have for this video. I'll be posting more of Major and some of his cool trips. I'll be giving you guys updates. Again, sorry it's not super positive, but some of this I do want to make into my channel so people can recognize, you know, the severity and, you know, take a step forward and realize these animals need justice. So thank you guys so much for watching. We upload every Monday, every Wednesday, and every Saturday. Every Wednesday we post funny videos of Major doing something silly, so you guys can definitely look forward to that. And other than that, I hope you guys have a majorly great day.